see you back at the Academy for a short time at least.
Where my card is.
Welcome to the Academy of Arts, a place where Christian young people are challenged not only in their personal walks with Christ, but in how to effectively use their gifts for Him. The Academy of Arts Conservatory offers some of the most intensive and immersive hands-on training in visual storytelling, both on stage and through film and media. Through our program, you will not only receive instruction and experience in acting, lighting, set design and construction, props, soundtrack work, choreography, directing, makeup, hair, costumes, writing, photography, and filmmaking. But you will learn how all communication comes from God and how you can use your gifts to gain a strong voice in this world for Christ. All the instructors at the Academy of Arts Conservatory are dedicated to training up the next generation of Christian young people who are not only excellent in their field, but also determined to use their gifts to impact the world around them for good. So step out today and join our mission of reclaiming the arts for Christ, and let the Academy of Arts Christian Conservatory help you achieve excellence and gain a voice.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. We're very excited for this evening and for the young people to be able to show a little bit of all that they've been working on throughout this year. Something very exciting going on tonight, as most of you all saw. We have the bake sale going on back there, some amazing pies and cakes, so please make sure that you get back there and bid on one of those cakes and pies. Don't worry about the peanut butter pie. I've already bought that one, so you're done with that one. But, well, we'll see. So just make sure everybody knows. And I'm also saying this for anybody that's watching live streaming. We have a number of people watching right now that are not able to come tonight, but could watch online. And we're letting those people bid as well. So listen up, everybody. We have a blackberry pie. Right now it's at $20. We have a peanut butter pie. Right now it's at $30. Two strawberry pies, both at $25. An Italian cream cake at $45, and a double chocolate chip pound cake at $50. So yes, make sure you get back there. The bidding will close for online and for everybody here at 8:30. So we'll make sure at the end of the time you can go back there and frantically do one last bid on it in case you got outbid, if you'd like. But right at the end, and as soon as we get done tonight, we'll close that, and to the victor goes the spoils. All right. So I hope you'll enjoy this evening tonight. Enjoy the great work of the students and everything that they've done so far. And I wanted now to introduce my lovely wife, Nicole Stratton. She's been the one that's worked with them all through this year in their classes and through obviously being the artistic director in all the plays and everything that she does. So she's going to say a few words before they begin.
So we are so excited. Thank you for joining us tonight. I know it's an encouragement to the students to have you all here. Many of them, their families and friends live out of state, so to have you guys come and support them is really exciting. Now this is the second in 3 recitals that they are required to do this year, so this is their second recital. The first recital was in February, and it was more geared around choral, and then also we had 4 students that did their readings at that recital. So I'm looking to see if I have those students. I think they're back working the table. But those 4, if I could have you stand, if you were one of those 4 that actually performed. There we go. We have Cooper, Jesse, Mariah, and Laura. Those 4 students already performed in February. Thank you very much. So they did a great job. And if you missed the choir, it was absolutely wonderful. And we will be doing that every single year, so hopefully that will grow as well for the people to really enjoy these recitals that the young people are doing. Now tonight is their second recital, and it is more geared towards solo performance. So it's actually the culmination of a class on speech and competition prep. So as they are teachers and speech teachers, they have to be able to do a play, obviously, but they also have to be able to prepare their students for individual competition readings and different ministry opportunities where they can do solo readings. So that's what you're going to see tonight, is a lot of different solo readings. And if you're not familiar with what a reading is, they will be playing multiple characters, but don't worry, nothing's wrong with them. One person will be playing multiple different people, but it's a really actually a hard craft to master. And so these young people have worked very hard, and we're excited to let you see the culmination of that class. The third recital will be happening in May. Now that's one that they've been working all year towards, and what that is there will be 6 different cuttings that will be performed. The second years are required to actually do their entire cutting themselves, which they take a book, a short story, or sometimes an original piece, and they actually make a cutting. And then after they've made the cutting, they go through the entire process of bringing that thing to life on stage. So they have to work on the scenic design and the staging and the costumes and the makeup and everything that goes into bringing something from paper up on the stage. And so in May, that's the third recital, and that's what you will see with them. There are 6 graduates that are be graduating, so that you'll see 6 different cuttings. And that's going to be a really neat, exciting recital. So don't miss that. It's coming up in May. But everything, too, so that you know that you're buying tonight, that actually goes to support them going on their final trip. So Joe Butler, who is the student body president, will be talking a little bit about that at the end. But thank you so much for coming out and supporting. We'd like to start in a word of prayer, as we always do at the Logos Theater. So if you go ahead and stand with me, we'll start in a word of prayer, and then we'll begin tonight's recital. Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you so much for the freedom to assemble together here in this place, to also have the freedom to train up young people who are Christians, who have given their life to you, who have dedicated their time and their efforts to developing their talents to glorify you and to pour into the next generation. I thank you for that freedom, Lord. I thank you for the blessing that it is to serve you through the gifts that you've given us, Lord, and to glorify your name. I pray that that is what happens tonight, that what is offered up here on the stage will be much more than a performance, that it will be a sweet-smelling savor to you, Lord, as we offer up our gifts in praise to you, who is the ultimate creator, Lord. And I thank you for these friends who have joined us and for the ones who are watching online. And I pray that we would be an encouragement to these students as they take this next step in their study and in their practice to use their gifts for the honor and glory of one. It's in your Son, Jesus Christ's name, I pray all of this. Amen. Thank you very much. You may be seated. And now we would like to begin the recital with the Academy of Arts Christian Conservatory students. You can clap.
The first day of Vacation Bible School was nerve-wracking. The day was the hottest of the summer. The handwork fell apart, and what's more, 9-year-old Skylar Frank, the neighborhood troublemaker, was one of my 30 charges of the week. He was the most unlovable, unruly child you could ever meet. Although he had received every material advantage, he came from a home void of true love and warmth. The next day during story hour, he lived up to his reputation for chronic misbehavior. So you see, boys and girls, just as Jesus healed the 10 lepers from their leprosy, he can also cleanse us from our sins, which are even greater than leprosy. Jesus stands today, knocking on your heart's door. He won't come in unless you ask him to. You see in this picture, there isn't a doorknob on the door of your heart. You must open it from the inside, because Skylar, sit down. This is the 3rd time since, but that girl up front has been writing notes, all doing the story, and we are not discussing Pamela's behavior, Skylar. You like girls better than boys, don't you? Class, you are dismissed for refreshments. Sandy, will you take the children to the snack room, please? Skylar Frank, please stay. I need to talk with you. You don't like me, Miss Sharp. I don't like you disturbing the entire class during the story. When you disturb, no one can hear, and they won't know what the story is about. We cannot have this behavior for the rest of the week, Skylar, or we will have to ask you to leave and to go home. Do you understand me? But I listened to the story. Why, I bet you I could tell you what it was all about. These men came to Jesus and they had some really bad disease, and Jesus made them all better. See, I can tell it almost as good as you can. Well, except for the last part. Something about... What did you say at the end of the story again? I do not have time to repeat myself now, Skylar. You need to listen more closely when I'm telling the story. You not only miss the most important parts, you cause everyone around you to miss them. Do you understand me? Yes, ma'am. But I really want to know what you said about the... Now run along, Skylar. I've only a few moments to prepare this handwork before the others returned. As the days passed, the weather grew hotter, the children harder to control, and my nerves more strained than ever. Vacation Bible School this year for me was pure drudgery. I felt that God was withholding blessings from my teachings for some reason. The next afternoon, while the children were busy with their handwork, I went into the adjoining room that we were using as a storage room to get more paste. And to my surprise, I found Skylar. Tired, hot, and already irritated by his continual misbehavior. I pounced on the boy. Skylar, Frank, what are you doing? My pictures, what a mess! I was only looking for that one picture. I don't care what you were looking for, young man. These things do not belong to you. Oh, here it is. This is the one with Christ knocking at the door. Put that down, Skylar. I told you. But I couldn't see it from the back of the room. Say, you were right. There isn't a doorknob on the door. Why is that? Skylar, Frank, you are not listening to me. Your disobedience must be punished, young man. Your disobedience must be punished, young man. Do you understand me? I hate you. I hate your old Bible school. I'm going home. Skylar ran quickly through the doorway and out of my sight. I began to run after him, but I was exhausted from the day's activities. My heart was heavy and my limbs tired as I straightened the chairs after Vacation Bible School that afternoon. Guiltily, I wondered if Skylar had made it home safely. As I prayed for him, the thought that he might be fighting the Holy Spirit startled my mind as I realized I had never taken the time to answer his question or to ask him about his relationship with Christ. Too tired to think of stopping by his home that afternoon, I comforted my conscience by thinking that there would be some time later, maybe sometime tomorrow, at the commencement picnic at our local park. When we arrived at the park the next afternoon, the boys and girls ran over the grassy slopes and built castles by the lake's edge, while I unpacked the picnic lunch. With everything in its place, I blew the whistle, and the hot, hungry boys and girls came running from all directions. I looked over my brood. Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, and Carol and Sandy make 10, and Bruce and Skylar. Skylar! Bruce, have you seen Skylar? I saw him a couple of minutes ago. He was walking that way, towards the lake. The lake? Skylar! Skylar! Bruce, get some of the older boys and help me look for him. Sandy, will you tell Reverend Blake that Skylar is missing? Joy, go ahead and get the meal started. Thank you. Skylar! A fear gripped my heart, almost smothering my breath. Skylar, where are you? I ran along the lake's edge, calling his name. Then, suddenly, I heard Bruce scream. Teacher, come quick! What is it, Bruce? I'm coming. Bruce was pointing to an object floating in the water. It's Skylar! He's drowned! few moments were maddening. The men lingered as if forever over his limp little body, trying to recover. Over his limp little body, trying to recover it. They lingered as if forever, trying to revive him. Voices whirled like tornadoes in my mind. God, let him live. I won't be too busy to witness to him. I promise. Please, dear God, he can't be dead. A medic who had been called to the scene arose from his crouched position over Skylar and placed a firm but gentle hand on my shoulder. I'm sorry, ma'am, but he was already gone. Gone? Gone. He was already gone. And so was my one opportunity to share the gospel with this dear child. Please, dear God, forgive me. For God so loved the world, that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. For God sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world, through him, might be saved. Dear friend, if you do not know the Savior, the one who shed his own precious blood on the cross of Calvary to redeem your lost soul, won't you accept him as your Lord and Savior today? For today is the day of salvation for your lost soul.
The cobblestone streets of late 19th century London could speak, they'd have many a story to tell. They'd tell of ornate carriages clattering by, drawn by sleek brown horses, tossing their minds in the flicker of the lamplights. They'd speak of thick, damp fog that rolls in off the River Thames, engulfing the sleeping city in a grey, ghostly silence. But mostly, they talk of people. People who have run, or walked, stumbled, or shuffled over these cobblestones, making their way to wealth, or poverty, to success, or failure, to happiness, or grief. Perhaps the streets with the most touching stories to tell are the little ones, the side streets, the alleys, where in winter the tall buildings serve to block the slicing wind, for those who have no place to go. Blasted all, a dirty world, stumbling their way through the streets in the dead of winter, peddling with pencils. Aye, who's there? Pencils, sir? Won't you borrow a pretty pencil? They're only tuppence. I'm very poor, but I would buy one, sir, but I haven't any money. Yeah, you're just a little orphan. I ain't got nothing. You're right, sir, about me being an orphan, but I've got something. What's that, you sailor? I said I've got something, sir. I have a fire, and I have tin. Now, there's something besides just nothing, sir. Oh, yes, I reckon you do have a fire, don't you, lad? It's cold, I know why. Want to warm me old cold bones. And who's this other chap? The one you call Tim. Is he here with us? Well, Tim ain't no chap, mister. He's just me pet rabbit. See? No, I can't say. But I wish I could. Oh. Do you like the feel of him, sir? Yes, I do, lad, that I do. But him ain't all I got, mister. Sure, I reckon you got some good victuals with you, don't you, lad? It's far better than food, sir. What could be better than food? To a hungry man, eh? Well, this piece of paper. What's this? A cheque for £1,000, maybe? Oh, it's far more than that, sir. Aye. It's got me name on it too, sir. Yeah, what might that be now, lad? Well, me name's Flip, sir. Flip. Where'd you get a name like that tagged onto you, my boy? Flip. Well, your real name's Philip, but most people just say it too fast. You give it a try. All right. Philip. Philip. Oh yes, I see. It's a rather jolly name. Flip. You see, it's right here. This piece of paper. Yes, sir. That it is, sir. Who might I ask made out such an enormous amount of money? Yeah. To, well, such a wee chap as yourself. Tell me that. My father did, sir. Yeah, your father, did he now? Wait a minute, hold on there. I thought you said you were an orphan. Well, yes, sir. Then I am, sir. But I'm adopted. Oh, yes, you're adopted. Very good. Now, tell me, how rich is your father? Tell me that. He's very rich. Very rich, sir. He owns all the cattle in the whole world and a bunch of gold mines. And yeah, I'm sure he does, lad. Sure he does. Well, he does, sir. He does. Then why are you out here in an alley? I don't blind fool up myself to stumble over, eh? And this so-called cheque. Read it to me. What does it say? I can't read, sir. What's this? Do you mean he has deceived me? A millionaire's son and not having enough schooling to read. Yeah, well, I can't read, sir. I can't tell you what's on that piece of paper. All right, then, lad. Tell me. Even if your father isn't all you make him out to be. At least you're better off than I. I never had a father when I was a lad. Not even an adopted one. At least you're not a blind fool like myself, stumbling the streets, peddling the pencils. Can you imagine what it is to be blind, boy? To go through life and never see a flower or a tree or your own mother's face. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to shout at you. You go on and tell me what's on this piece of paper. It's from your father. The paper says this, sir. For God so loved the world. Oh, mark that, sir. World. That leaves none out. So I can put my name there. For God so loved Flip that he gave his only begotten Son, that if Flip should believe on him, he should not perish, but have everlasting life. Those are the words of your Father, your heavenly Father. For God so loved the world. For God so loved. Flip, say those words again now, will you, lad? For God so loved the world that Flip. My name's on this piece of paper too. For God so loved me. Oh yes, sir. I know your name is there, but I'll agree, lad. Could he love blind fool like myself enough to give his only son? I don't know, but that's what the paper says, and it's a portion from the word of God. He says that if you should believe on his son, he should not perish, but have everlasting life. But what do you want me? Being blind, I mean? Oh, yes, sir. Only take to blind people, you know. Because everybody's blind. Blind in sin. See? Oh, yes, I do see. I see. Oh, I now repent of my sin and believe on his son. Oh, thank you, Philip. And thanks to your father too. He's your father now, sir. That he is. Oh, thank you, Father, for letting an old man as old as I am become your adopted son. Oh, I must go now, Philip. I must tell someone. I won't forget you, you know. No, Father. Goodbye. Goodbye, sir. Goodbye. He can see now, Tim. He can see just as well as we can. He can see. You rest that easy now, Tim. Mr. Maroney! Mr. Maroney! Oh, here's Flip. Is anything wrong? No, sir. Everything's just wonderful. I was just wondering if you'd be so kind as to help me to my box. Sure, I reckon I will. Yeah. You let's say, right away. All right. There you are. And, oh, but where's Tim? Could you hand him to me? Ah, yes, Tim. Yeah. Here is your little Timothy. And, Flip, I have something for you. Can you feel it, son? Oh, yes. I can feel it. It's an apple. Isn't it, Mr. Maroney? Yes, and it is for you. For me? Oh, thank you, sir. It's nothing, really. I wish I could do more. You know, you're always welcome to stay in the house with us. Well, yes, I know, and thank you, but I think I can see my father better out here. All right, well, whatever you say. You're always welcome. Good night, Tim. Good night to you, Flip, and I'll see you two in the morning. Good night, sir. Oh, Tim says good night too. We'll see you in the morning. Good night, Tim. And good night to you too, Father.
This is a story of something that happened long ago, when your grandfather was a child. It's a very important story because it shows how all the comings and goings between our own world and the land called Narnia first began. You see, in those days, there lived in London a girl called Polly Plummer. She lived in one of a long row of houses that were all joined together. One morning, as she was out in the back garden, a boy scrambled up from the garden next door and put his face over the wall. The face of the strange boy was very grubby. It was as if he had first rubbed his hands in the earth, had a good cry, and then dried his face with his hands. Oh, hello, I'm Polly. What's your name? Diggory. I say, that's a funny name. It isn't half so funny as Polly. Yes, it is. No, it isn't. Well, at least I wash my face, which is what you need to do, especially after... Oh.
Go ahead and say it, after I've been crying. Well, you would be too, if you'd been brought to live in a beastly hole like this. And if your father was away in India, and you had to come and live with an aunt and an uncle who's mad, and the reason they were looking after your mother was because she was ill and was going to die. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know. Is your uncle really mad? Either he is or there's something else going on. He has a study up in the attic, and Aunt Letty says I must never go up there. What do you suppose he keeps up there? I don't know, but as I was going past the foot of the attic stairs on my way to bed last night, I'm sure I heard a yell. Perhaps he keeps a mad wife shut up there. Or he might have been a pirate, like the man at the beginning of Treasure Island. How exciting! I never knew your house was so interesting. That is how Polly and Diggory got to know one another. But their adventures really began one rainy day when Polly decided to show Diggory what she had found. It was a long, narrow tunnel behind a cistern in Polly's attic. It seemed to connect the roofs of every house in the row. Oh, I say, we could get into the other houses. Yes, and get taken for burglars. No thanks. Don't be so jolly clever. I was thinking of the house beyond yours. Daddy says it's been empty since we came. I suppose we could have a look at it then. They stepped carefully from rafter to rafter without a word between them. Finally, they came where they could see a little door and the brick wall on their right. Diggory pushed round the catch with some difficulty. After a strong shove, the door swung open. Oh, bother. This isn't an empty house at all. We'd better just then. The high back chair in front of the fireplace moved suddenly, and to Diggory's dismay there rose up out of it the alarming form of his Uncle Andrew. I'm delighted to see you. 2 children are just what I wanted. Polly, run! Diggory grabbed Polly's hand. Both children bolted towards the door. But before they knew what had happened, Uncle Andrew was standing in front of the door, with his piercing eyes staring straight at Polly. Please, Mr. Ketley, it's nearly my dinner time, and I've got to go. Well, if you must go, I suppose you must. I can't expect 2 youngsters like yourselves to have much fun talking to an old duffer like me. But before you go, I should give you a present. Uncle Andrew held out a bright red tray before Polly. On it were a number of rings. They were in pairs, a green one and a yellow one together, and they were the most beautiful, shiny little things you can imagine. Polly, no, don't you fool! No, don't touch them! But it was too late. Immediately, without a flash, or noise, or warning of any sort, there was no Polly. What have you done with her? Why, I've sent her to another world, of course. Well, go and bring her back. I'm afraid that is quite impossible. You see, she can't get back without a green ring. But if someone were to go after her, wearing a yellow ring himself and carrying 2 green rings, one to bring himself back and one to bring her back, Diggory watched as the hateful smile began to form on his uncle's cruel face, and he realized the trap in which he was caught. So I see I've got to go then. That's a good lad. Diggory reached his hand slowly towards the ring shining dimly in his uncle's gloved hand, then stopped. You don't know whether I can get back, do you? All right then, never mind. Go and have your supper. Oh, and perhaps before tea time you'd better drop in on Mrs. Plummer and tell her that she'll never see her daughter again because you were too afraid to put on a ring. By gum, don't I just wish I was big enough to punch your head? Diggory took a deep breath, reached his hand towards the ring in his uncle's gloved hand, took it, and thought then, as he always thought afterwards too, that he could not decently have done anything else.
pale blue eye of the fair 16-year-old girl who stood nearest the deep cavity in the earth. The tear dropped delicately onto the wooden resting place of one who would never cry again. The wind caught a lock of Stephanie's raven black hair and made it dance around her slightly scarred brow. She fingered gingerly the wild daisies she held in her hands. They brought back such sweet memories of childhood, memories before she fully understood her brother's mental handicap. I am the beautiful Princess Desmond, and you are my charming prince. You love me very much. Say that you love me, charming Prince Shane. I love you very much. You are my beautiful Princess Desmond. Thank you for the pretty daisies. I shall plant them right here by my window. Shane never failed to tell his beautiful Stephanie that he loved her, and every time he waited for her to say it back. But it never came. She wondered now why she hadn't said it just once. The faint smell of daisy brought back more memories. She now saw the 10-year-old Shane, the first day of his 5th grade year at school. Oh, Stephanie, you ready to go home now? Stephanie's new friends gave a look of disdain at the retarded boy. Hey, Steph, who's the retard? Why, he's probably her brother. I knew she was a little strange. How should I know who he is? Silly Stesney, I'm Shane. Oh, Shane, the kid down the street. How could I forget? It's a game, Shane. If you want to play, don't say anything else. Just go behind the school and meet me. Well, it was nice to see you again. Maybe I'll see you sometime around the neighborhood. Bye. A game? Okay, I will play it. Good. Bye, my Princess Destiny. Stephanie's friends were now doubled over in laughter. Princess, I don't know you that well. Go on, swoon over somebody else. Go on, get lost. From that day on, Stephanie and Shane Castle were to be neighbors, never brother and sister at school. Stephanie somehow convinced Shane daily that she was not serious at school, just playing around. Thus, day by day, year by year, the deception continued. By the time Stephanie was a junior in high school, she could not stand to look at Shane. He reminded her of the lie she was living. Stephanie rolled her eyes in disgust as she watched Shane, now 14, stumbling his way down the school steps. She watched as he spotted her car, meandered over to it, and got in. She had to grip the bark of the tree she was concealed behind, keep from screaming out in anger. Hey, look at the retard in Steph's car. Where'd she go anyway? Once more, her tongue was quick with the lie. Isn't it awful? His parents are out of town for the day, so I was asked to bring him home. I almost turned them down, but my heart's just too big, you know? Of course, I'm being paid to do it. $40. Well, better go. I don't want him to drool in my car. Stephanie spun out of the parking lot as fast as she could. Shane held up a piece of paper. Stesney, just be quiet, Shane. Thought I told you never to come in front of the school to meet me. If someone saw us together, found out we were related, my friends would laugh me to scorn. Oh, you mean the game? I didn't play it good? How can you be so stupid? It was never a game, Shane. I can't stand you. You're so ugly and twisted. Wish I never had a brother. Oh, I'm sorry, Stesney. I just wanted to give you my present. I do it myself. Stephanie looked down to see the most beautiful picture of a little girl wearing a diamond crown and holding some perfectly defined wild daisies. A tear welled up in her eye as she read the shaky signature. It's my beautiful Stephanie. I love the terrifying sound of screeching brakes and the blast of an air horn caused Stephanie to quickly turn her head, just in time to see the tractor trailer, then crashing, shattering glass, grinding steel, screeching metal. The car ran off the embankment and slammed into a tree. Silence penetrated the air. Ah! My head! What? I can't see. It's so dark. Fire! Fire! I've got to get out! Ah! My leg! Shane!
car, Shane lay in a motionless heap on the wet grass. The sounds of Stephanie's cries for help, his twisted limbs moved almost involuntarily towards the object of his love. I'm coming, Sisney. Don't cry. Where are you? Shane, I'm blind. I can't see. Get me out of the car and away from the fire. I'm coming, Sisney. Shane is here. I will help you. Just hold on to me, Princess. Hold on. Disregarding his own pain, he moved with reckless abandon, dragging her to safety. 20 feet away from the car, he collapsed in unconsciousness, falling on top of her just as the car exploded. His beautiful Stephanie was safe, protected from the explosion by Shane's body. Holding her daisies, Stephanie stood near the coffin, silently, sightlessly waiting to say the words that Shane had longed to hear. Shane, they tell me you're here, but I can't see you. I can't hear your voice. How was I ashamed of someone as wonderful as you? You showed me true love, but until now, I was too blind to see it. Though I never said it before, I love you, my Prince Shane. I do love you. Now, and forever. Goodbye.
Death, come to my house. Eat dinner, stay long. I look on the bed, and my mother was gone. When will I see my mother again? My Lord, Alleluia. Poor mourners got a home at last. Weep not. Weep not, she is not dead. She's resting in the bosom of Jesus. Heartbroken husband, weep no more. Grief-stricken son, weep no more. Oh, your left lonesome daughter, weep no more. She's only just gone home. Day before yesterday morning, God was looking down from his great high heaven, looking down on all his children. And his eye fell on Sister Caroline, tossing on her bed of pain. And God's big heart was touched with pity, with the everlasting pity. And God sat back on his throne, and he commanded that tall, bright angel standing at his right hand, "Call me Death." And that tall, bright angel cried in a voice that broke like a clap of thunder, "Call death! Call death!" And the echo sounded down the streets of heaven till it reached away back to that shadowy place where death waits with his pale white horses. And Death heard the summons, and he leaped on his fastest horse, pale as a sheet in the moonlight. Up the golden street Death galloped, and the holes from his horse struck fire from the gold, but they didn't make no sound. Up Death rode to the great white throne, and there waited for God's command. And God said, "Go down, Death, go down. Go down to Savannah, Georgia, down in Yomicron, and find Sister Caroline. She's borne the burden and heat of the day. She's labored long in my vineyard, and she's tired. She's weary. Go down, Death, and bring her to me." And Death didn't say a word, but he loosed the reins on his pale white horse and clamped the spurs to his bloodless sides, and out and down he rode, through heaven's pearly gates, past suns and moons and stars. On Death rode, and the foam from his horse was like a comet in the sky. On Death rode, leaving the lightning's flash behind. Straight on down Death came. While we were watching around her bed, she turned her eyes and looked away. She saw what we couldn't see. She saw old Death. She saw old Death coming like a falling star. But Death didn't frighten Sister Caroline. He looked to her like a welcome friend, and she whispered to us, I'm going home." And she smiled and closed her eyes. And Death took her up like a baby, and she lay in his icy arms, but she didn't feel no chill. And Death began to ride again, up beyond the morning star, out beyond the evening star, into the glittering light of glory, on to the great white throne. And there he laid Sister Caroline on the loving breast of Jesus. And Jesus took his own hand, and he wiped away her tears, and he smoothed the furrows from her face. And the angels sang a little song, and Jesus rocked her in his arms and kept us saying, "Take your rest, take your rest, take your rest. Weep not, she is not dead. She's resting in the bosom of Jesus." Hallelujah. Hallelujah, oh my Lord. I'm gonna see my mother again. Hallelujah.
In a great cave, some miles within the edge of Mirkwood Forest, there lived long ago a great elf king. This king's cave was his palace, and the strong place of his treasure, and it was the dungeon of his prisoners. And so it was that to this very cave they dragged Thorin, king of the dwarves. Thorin knew that if the Elf King had one weakness, it was treasure. And so, he determined that not one word of his plan to desolate Smog and regain the treasure of the Lonely Mountain would be dragged out of him. As he lay on the cold dungeon floor, little did Thorin know that his little band of dwarves were being surrounded by woodens with torches, bows, and spears. The dwarves had no thought of a fight, for truth be known. They had grown so hungry and weak, they were actually glad to be captured. All except Bilbo, who popped on his ring and slipped to the other side. The elves bound the dwarves in a long line, one behind the other, and counted them. But never once did they count the hobbit, nor did they hear or feel him trotting along well behind the torchlight, as they led off the prisoners through the woods and towards the great caves. Soon the prisoners found themselves standing before the great Elf King himself. Unbind them. There's no need of ropes in here. You see, my friends, once you have been brought inside these walls, there is no escape. What have we done, O King? Is it a crime to be lost in the forest, to be hungry and thirsty, to be trapped by spiders? Are the spiders your pets? Is it a crime to kill them? Is that why we have made you angry? It is a crime to wander my realm without leave. Did you forget that you were in my kingdom, using my roads that my people have made? Did you not 3 times pursue and trouble my people in the forest and rouse the spiders with your rioting calamity? After all the disturbance you have made, I have a right to know what brings you here. And if you will not tell me, I will keep you all in prison until you have learned sense and manners. Meanwhile, poor Mr. Baggins slipped in and out of the shadows, never daring to take off his ring. I am like a burglar. I can't get away, but must go on miserably burgling the same house, day after day. Now this is a dreary, standoonist part of this wretched, tiresome, and uncomfortable adventure. I wish I was back in my hobbit hole, by my own warm fireside. Bilbo often wished he could get a message of help sent to Gandalf, but this, of course, was quite impossible, and he soon realized if anything was to be done, it would have to be done myself, alone and unaided. Eventually, the dwarves, though, calmed down and obeyed Bilbo's every word, and not a bit too soon either. It was only the dwarves calmed down and obeyed Bilbo's every word. I'm going blank here. After a week or two of this sneaking sort of life, Bilbo managed to find where each dwarf was being kept. And he finally found that there was another dwarf, besides the other 12. He knew at once that it was Thorin, that he must find him. Now Thorin had grown too wretched to be angry any longer at his misfortunes. He even began to think of telling the king all about his treasure and of his quest. But all of a sudden, through the little keyhole, he heard a familiar voice. You will never make it to the Lonely Mountain with you stuck in here. Bilbo! Shh! Quiet. There are guards all over the place. I will repay you for this someday. Now come, let us free the others. Bilbo has already freed us, my king. We await your command. Master Burr, who have gotten us this far, can you find us a way out? I thought you'd never ask. I have discovered the great gates are not the only entrance to the caves. There's a stream that flows just in a part of the lowest regions of the palace and joins the forest river. As a trap door, which is often open, is used to lead large barrels of wine in and out, large barrels, which are now lying empty, which are just the right size for some dwarves I know, and a hobbit to climb inside and float out of here. We will be bruised and battered to pieces, and drowned too for certain. Very well then, come on back to your nice cells, and I'll lock you all in again, and you can stay there comfortable and think of a better plan. No, Bilbo, we will do as you say, won't we? The dwarves soon calmed, and they obeyed Bilbo's every word. Not a bit too soon either, for only a moment after the last dwarf's lid had been fitted, there came the sound of voices. A number of elves came laughing and talking into the cellar, and were quickly ordered by Galleon, the keeper of the cellar, to move the barrels into the water. So one by one, the barrels were thrust into the cold water. And just as the last barrel was plunged, so one by one, the barrels were thrust into the cold water below. And it was just at that moment that Bilbo realized the weak point in his plan. You probably saw it some time ago and had been laughing at him, but I suppose you wouldn't have done half as well yourself if you were in his place. But Bilbo realized that he was not in a barrel himself, nor was there anyone to pack him in. It looked as if he would lose his friends for certain this time, and he'd be left to stay lurking as a permanent burglar in the caves forever. It was just at that moment when the last barrel came bobbling by. And not knowing what else to do, he jumped inside. And as the barrel plunged over the edge into the cold, murky water, he thought, I do hope I put the lids on tight enough.
It was all of 600 years ago. It was 7 if a day, that a village was built, which you may know, by the name of Lidize. They built them a church and they built them a mill, all on the fair Danubian plain, for to shrive their souls and to grind their grain, and to feed them wholesomely. And each man helped his neighbor to lay the stones of his house and to lift its beams, till strong in its timbers and tight in its seams, a village arose, called Lidize. How did the year turn and how did it run in the village of Lidize? First came spring with planting and sowing, then came summer with hay and hoeing, then came autumn and the harvest home, and always in winter with its brief bright day, toward the end of the quiet afternoon. Children at school, but coming home soon, with crisp young voices loud and gay. Husband that clad no miles away, but home for supper, expected soon, toward the end of the winter afternoon. How did the year turn and how did it run? In the year 1941, in the village of Lidize. First came spring with planting and sowing, then came summer with haying and hoeing, then came autumn and the harvest home. Then came Heydrich, the hangman, the Hun. Mirko, the Reko's barns are full. It's time to harvest the sugar beets. Hush with your clack while a man eats. I'll think of the harvest and the sugar beets when my evening meal is done. Of much on my mind, wife. Well, I heard say from the metal workers in Cladno today that Heydrich the hangman comes our way. God's curse on him. Husband, the things you say. Well, Heydrich's but Hitler's tool. What do you take me for, a fool? God's curse on him anyway. Cross yourself, Mirko. I did. And pray. I'll pray when my supper's done. Husband, why is your face so gray? My face is gray from fear. Heydrich the hangman died today of his wounds, the men in Cladno say. Good riddance to wicked rubbish, I say. No man was he, but a ravening beast. Do they know who killed him? Not yet, they say, though they've smoked them out for many a day. But they claim we hid him here. Here in Liedesay. Aye, here in Liedesay. Well, if I knew where they hid, I'd not give them away. Yes, all of the village feels that way. But heavy's the price we'll have to pay if they're not found, I fear. How it will turn, I could not learn, but my face with fear is gray. An officer walked in Wilson Street, a German officer, jaunty and smart. A saber cut on his cheek he bore, and tailored well with the clothes he wore. His uniform dapper and smart, and he hummed a waltz as he strolled towards a group of men by a high billboard. And he smiled and softly stopped in his tracks as he studied the stooped and troubled backs of poor men reading the word reward. Reward, 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 reward. 200,000 in gold for information leading toward the capture of the cowardly and ruthless killers of Rednard Heydrich. Rednard Heydrich. Heydrich, the pure in heart. And he looked at their backs and smiled and thought, Heydrich's killers as good as caught. They marched them out to the public square. 200 men in a row, and every step of the distance there. Each stone in the road each man did know, and every alley and doorway where, as a carefree boy, not long ago, with boys of his age he would hide and run and shout in the days when everyone was safe and free, and school was out. Not very long ago. He felt on his face the soft June air and thought, this cannot be so. And one who was dying opened his eyes, for he smelled smoke and stared at the skies, cloudy and lurid with smoke and flame. From every building it billowed, it came from every roof, and out it burst. From every window, none was the first. From every window about him burst the terrible shape of flame, and clawed at the sky and leapt to the ground, and ran through the village with a crackling sound. A sudden roar where a roof fell in, and he thought of his mother left alone in the house, and he crossed the blood in the square. But at the very step did he slip and fall. The slippery blood was everywhere. The women and children out to the square they marched, that there they might plainly see how mighty a state is Germany, that can drag from his bed, unawake, unaware, unarmed, a man to be murdered where his wife and children must watch and see. Then carted them off in truck and cart into Germany, the wives to be slaves of German men, the children to start life all over again in German schools, to German rules, as butchers' apprentices, and hail and salute the mastermind of the world's chief butcher of humankind. The whole world holds in its arms today the murdered village of Liedesay, like the murdered body of a little child, happy and innocent, caught in play, the murdered body, stained and defiled, tortured and mangled, of a helpless child. And moans of vengeance, frightful to hear, from the throat of a world must reach his ear. Scornful America, crooning a tune, catch him and stop him soon. Never let him come here. Think a moment. Are we immune? Oh, my country, so foolish, so dear.
too much agony and exquisite pain to be revisited, while it is still remotely raw. That time for me was the loss of the only friend I had ever known. The loss of Helen.
You are a dirty and disagreeable girl, Burns. You have not cleaned your nails this morning.
Miss Scatcherd stood erect and stiff by the young girl, who made no answer. Why, thought I, does she not explain that she could neither clean her nails nor wash her face? For the water was frozen. Miss Scatcherd pointed to the adjoining room, and Burns quickly left the room and returned carrying in her hand a rod. This ominous tool she presented to Miss Scatcherd with a respectful curtsy. Then she quietly, and without being told, unloosed her pinafore, and the teacher instantly and sharply inflicted on her neck a dozen strokes. But not a tear rose to the young girl's eye.
Hardened girl, nothing can correct you, your slatternly habit. Carry the rod away.
Burns obeyed. I watched her narrowly as she emerged from the closet, and when we were finally alone, I moved to her side.
My name is Jane. Jane Eyre. What's your name?
Besides Burns.
Helen. Do you come a long way from here?
I come from a place farther north, quite on the plains of Scotland. I must wish to leave Lowood. No. Why should I?
Well, if I were in your place, I would dislike everything here, and I would resist Miss Scatcherd. And if she struck me with that rod, I should get it from her and break it under her nose.
Such a hasty action would bring evil consequences on you, and all those connected with you. Besides, the Bible bids us to return good for evil.
But if people are always kind and obedient to those who are cruel and unjust, the wicked would have it all their own way. When we are struck without reason, we should strike back very hard.
It is not violence that best overcomes hate, nor vengeance that most certainly heals injury. What then? Read the New Testament and observe what Christ says. Love your enemies. Bless them that curse you. Do good to those that hate you.
And I should love my aunt, Mrs. Reed,
Which I cannot. And I should bless her son John, which is impossible. They have been unkind to you, no doubt. But would you not be happier if you tried to forget their severity? Life appears to me too short to be spent in nursing animosity or registering wrongs. I hold another creed. I have been forgiven, so now I can forgive. And I look in calm. I live in calm, look into the end. The seasons began to change, and as they did so, our love for each other grew stronger. I never tired of Helen Burns, nor ever ceased to cherish for her sentiment of attachment, as strong, tender, and respectful as any that ever animated my heart. But after many months and many abuses, Helen became ill. For some weeks she was removed from my sight, yet finally one night I came upon her and moved quietly to her bedside.
Helen, are you awake?
Jane, why have you come here? I came to see you, Helen. I heard you were very ill, and I could not sleep until I had spoken to you. You have come to bid me goodbye, then. Well, you are just in time. Are you going somewhere, Helen? Are you going home?
Yes,
my long home, my last home. No, no, Helen, I am very happy, Jane. And when you find I am dead, you must not grieve. We all must die one day. But where are you going to, Helen? I have faith. I believe. I'm going to God. And will I see you, Helen? When I die, you will be received by the same mighty heavenly parent. No doubt, dear Jane, for you have trusted in God. I shall call for Miss Temple, no. Don't leave me, Jane. I like to have you here near me. I shall stay with you, Helen. No one shall take me away. I climbed up onto her bed, and we both lay there, quiet and still. We would not speak of what the morning light would bring, for we knew it would soon be over. And now it was enough that we were together, safe at last. Are you warm enough, dear Jane? Yes, Helen. Good night, Jane. Good night, Helen. My dear Helen was gone.
Recital for tonight. In just a moment, I'll have all the students come out. We can give them one final round of applause. But thank you so much for joining us tonight. I hope you enjoyed those stories. I don't know if any of the stories that you heard tonight for the first time you've ever heard them for the first time tonight, something new. Oh, wonderful. I'm so glad. Well, it's exciting to see them work so hard, and that's a culmination again of their class in the competition prep. And so they get training in the class, they get to come in front of the class and woodshed it in the class, but then it's their responsibility to go outside of the class and work it up and work on it. And so we're so glad that you've joined us tonight for them to have a deadline, to have to do it in front of people. And that's probably the hardest thing to do. But they are all very relieved and they'll sleep well tonight because they are finished. So, and they had an exam this morning in makeup, and I think half of them were, because they were thinking of tonight. So they will relax. But we'd like to go ahead and have them all come out here if we could and give them one more round of applause. Better and better, and then they will be permanently in your mind, and then you won't be able to lose them, okay? And you did a great job, guys, all of you. We'd like to have Joe Butler, the student body president, come out. He has one announcement to make, and then we'll have the closing things, and we'll be done. Go ahead, Joe.
Hey, everybody, just want to make a quick announcement. Bake sale in the back. Check it out. I'm going to be checking it out because I love sweets, okay? Real quick, I just want to make a few things known to you guys. We have some awesome upcoming things happening in the student body. In the next few weeks, we'll be shooting our very own short film, The Last Leaf. We are all really excited about that. They're excited, I'm excited, you should be excited, it's going to be great. And then later in May, we heard earlier, we'll be having our second year dramatic production students doing their very own cuttings. We'll be doing Alice in the Wonderland, The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, Secret Garden, a bunch more. It's going to be really awesome. Check out our website, the Facebook page, keep us posted on everything like that. It's going to be fun. All the proceeds from the night are going to the end of the year trip, so it's kind of a win-win for everybody. You guys get to buy some cool treats, and then we get to go on a trip, so that's not that. We're going to close in prayer, then you guys will be dismissed. Let's pray. Dear Lord, thank you so much for this day. Thank you that you've given us another day, and I pray we never forget that that is a gift. Thank you that you are a Lord who communicates. Thank you that we get to have that gift. We can communicate communicate with you and others. Thank you for all the students here, Lord, and their willingness to share that gift with us and everyone in the audience. I pray and trust that they were blessed by it. So, Lord, we thank you so much for everything you're doing here at the building and everything you're doing in this country. We pray this in all your name. Amen.
Thank you so much. We'll take about 5 minutes for the students to be able to talk with you, and then Noah will come up and announce the winners of all the pies and the treats. So we'll give you 5 minutes. If you still wanted to bid, not everything has been bid on, so whoever baked it, don't make them feel bad. At least take it home, bid on it, and then make sure that Noah will come up and announce who won. So you are dismissed. Thank you, students. You can go and talk. Yes, go bid. Or go bid on some cakes.
We have our winners to announce here. So, beginning with our strawberry pie, we have Mrs. Elmay Cox for $20. Our lovely peanut butter pie. Oh, I don't think I'm happy with this man. He stole it from me. Matt Hainsworth at $30. All right, we have our blackberry pie. That is Miss Tomei Cox at $25. I got the other strawberry pie for $20. To me, I got it. All right, our last two here. The Italian cream cake goes to Miss Stacy Simmons for $45. And our big winner, our double chocolate chip pound cake, $50, Mrs. Singleton. Thank you all so much for participating. We appreciate that very much. The students appreciate that very, very much. So, winners, go back there and collect the fruits of your labors. All right. Thank you all so much for coming. Appreciate it. You are dismissed.